In the fading light of dusk, Darius Thomas, a man whose dreams lay in shambles, found himself in a situation as unexpected as it was perilous. His heart pounded in his chest, a stark contrast to the silence that enveloped him. The engine of his car roared to life as he pressed the gas, a desperate bid to escape the mundane tragedy of his day. Just 30 seconds later, three figures in dark suits emerged from the shadows, their faces etched with suspicion and menace. The tallest among them leaned toward the window, his eyes piercing through Darius like daggers. "Are you sure you didn't see a blonde woman pass by here?" he inquired, his voice as cold as the steel in his gaze. "Maybe she asked for directions." Darius, maintaining a facade of calm, shook his head, his hands visibly placed on the steering wheel. "Like I said before, sir, I'm just stopped to change a flat tire. I haven't seen anyone." The scrutiny lasted an eternity, each second stretching out like a thread about to snap. When the man finally stepped back, Darius exhaled a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. From the trunk, a muffled voice broke the tension. "Are they gone?" The lid lifted, revealing a woman with wild blonde hair, her designer running gear now marred with mud. "Thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't hidden me." Darius, who only hours ago was grappling with the ruins of his tech startup, found himself entwined in an enigma. His company, a testament to 7 years of relentless effort, was crumbling because investors had pulled out their sudden change of heart, suspiciously timed with the discovery of his race. Now, as he watched the mysterious woman settle into the back seat through his rearview mirrors, he couldn't help but wonder, who are they? Her response, laden with a mix of fear and resignation, was, "My father's private security." Alex extended her hand with a certain elegance, her eyes glinting with a mix of mischief and determination. "I'm Alexander Winters, but you can call me Alex," she declared with a hint of defiance. Darius Thomas responded almost reflexively, his grip firm as he shook her hand, his mind racing. "Why are your father's security guards chasing you as if you were a common thief?" he inquired, his voice laced with genuine curiosity. Alex's laugh was devoid of humor, her face shadowed by the weight of her revelations. "Because I fled home with this," she said, retrieving a flash drive from her jacket pocket with a flourish. "My father is Richard Winters, the CEO of Winters Enterprise. Do you know him?" Darius froze, the name echoing in his mind like a storm warning. Winters Enterprise, the behemoth corporation infamous for its ruthless acquisitions, had not only bought out his primary competitor, but also obliterated his own fledgling company in the marketplace. "I know him well," he managed, his voice now as icy as the winter winds. "They've essentially annihilated my business." Alex's expression softened not with surprise, but with a shared sense of injustice. "So you're just another casualty of my father's corporate warfare." She brandished the flash drive like a sword. "And I possess evidence here that his methods are not merely unethical, they're outright illegal. Fraud, tax evasion, bribing, regulatory bodies." Darius's phone vibrated, slicing through the tension. It was a notification, a stolen vehicle alert linked to his car's license plate. He showed the screen to Alex, whose face paled. "Your father's just branded us as car thieves. We must get off the road now," he urged, his voice urgent yet calm. Alex paled further, the reality of her situation setting in. "He'll find me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Not if we're ready," Darius replied, his mind already weaving a strategy. With a twist of the key, the engine roared to life on the first try, a small victory in their burgeoning saga. As he navigated down a secluded back road, Darius covertly observed Alex in the rearview mirror. How could someone born into such opulence turn against her own flesh and blood? And why, of all places, had she chosen his car to hide in? What made Richard Winters, one of the nation's most formidable tycoons, so desperate to retrieve that flash drive? What secrets did it hold that could topple an empire? Amid the shadows of a forsaken road, no soul could fathom the seismic shift that this fleeting encounter between a man brought to ruin and an audacious rebel would trigger. A single spark, a moment of defiance, would unravel a tapestry of deceit, exposing exposing corruption that clawed its way to the very zenith of power. Imagine, if you will, the heartstrings of justice strumming in the night, a melody that could move mountains and topple giants. Could a simple act of kindness, a gesture of unexpected grace, truly dismantle an empire built upon a foundation of falsehoods? Alex, with a voice trembling, slightly instructed, "Turn there 2 kilometers ahead onto a dirt road," her eyes darting to the rearview mirror with a mix of fear and resolve. Darius, his heart pounding in his chest, steered the car down an almost imperceptible path swallowed by the dense whispering forest. The night had fallen, casting the world into an inky darkness, making every twist and turn a test of faith. After what seemed an eternity of jarring bumps and jolts, they emerged before a humble cabin, its wooden walls cloaked by overgrowth, a relic of forgotten dreams. "A family property my father forgot," Alex murmured, catching Darius's questioning gaze. "Bought decades ago for a real estate venture that never saw the light of day." In the cabin's musty embrace, Darius plugged in the flash drive, his laptop's screen casting eerie light across his face. Files unfolded like Pandora's box, revealing the dark heart of Richard Winter's criminal empire. Contracts reeked of fraud, emails dripped with incrimination, and spreadsheets whispered of bribes. But one file, a memo, made Darius's blood run cold. "What is it?" Alex's voice broke the silence, her concern palpable as she moved closer, her eyes drawn to the screen. "This," Darius pointed, his finger trembling, "is an operation to sabotage your company, Tech Vision." His voice was heavy with the weight of betrayal. "Your father didn't just buy out my competitor. He orchestrated a cyber attack, leaked sensitive data, and spread lies to drive away investors." Alex inhaled deeply, her resolve hardening. "I'm not surprised. That's how he built his empire." Darius closed the laptop, his face now a canvas of composed fury. "We need professional help," he declared, the resolve in his voice echoing the gravity of their discovery. "The story we're weaving transcends just us. It stretches far beyond our personal battles." As dawn broke, they journeyed across the bustling city, their destination an unremarkable office building, its facade betraying none of the secrets it harbored. Up on the 6th floor, a modest sign whispered its promise: "Maya Rivera, Specialized Law." "Are you certain she's the one?" Alex's whisper was laced with nerves, eyes darting around as if expecting shadows to come to life. "Without a doubt," Darius reassured, his voice a steady anchor. Maya Rivera, the sole beacon of hope when his own company crumbled under the weight of injustice. "She has long suspected that his father skirts the very edge of legality." He added, a wry smile touching his lips. Stepping into Maya's office was like entering a sanctuary. At 42, with hair prematurely kissed by gray and eyeglasses framed in vibrant hues, Maya exuded an aura of serene competence that enveloped Alex in instant comfort. "So we finally have the evidence," Maya declared, her eyes scanning the files with a sharp intensity. "Darius, this path is fraught with peril. Richard Winters isn't merely powerful. He commands judges, politicians, even those sworn to uphold the law. And that's why we need you," Darius countered, his voice firm with resolve. "We require someone versed in navigating these treacherous waters." Maya's smile was one of fierce determination. "We'll need more than just us, and a plan so meticulous it must be flawless." Meanwhile, in the opulent confines of his penthouse, Richard Winters was a storm of rage. "What do you mean you've lost her?" His voice boomed, echoing off the glass. "She's just a spoiled 26-year-old. How hard can it be?" The head of security, visibly shaken, managed to stammer, "Sir, we've tapped into every camera in the city, but she's vanished. We think she's receiving aid." "Who?" Winters barked at his patience, a thin thread. A photo slid across the glass table, a grainy capture from a security camera, showing Darius ushering Alex into his car. Richard Winters scrutinized the image, his frown deepening. "Who's this?" "Darius Thomas, sir, former CEO of Tech Vision, a company we acquired last year." Winters laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. "That loser Alexandra could have picked someone with a bit more substance." With a flick of his wrist, he tossed the photo back. He's nothing. A has-been. In the shadows of failure, Richard Winters dismissed them as incapable of managing even a faltering startup. Yet unbeknownst to him, an unlikely alliance was brewing, simmering with determination in a modest apartment far from the city's bustling heart. Here Maya, with her sharp wit and indomitable spirit, had enlisted her closest ally, Zoe Chun. Zoe, once a sentinel of digital security for the government, now turned her formidable skills toward a cause close to their hearts. Together, the quartet, Maya, Zoe, Alex, and Darius, concocted a plan as intricate as a spider's web. Meyer, with a gleam of excitement, pointed to a makeshift board adorned with strings and notes. Winter's enterprise dances with at least 3 government agencies, he declared. If we can unveil the fraud in these public contracts, not even Richard's network can shield him from the fall. Zoe, her fingers a blur on the keyboard, interjected, "Their digital fortress is our biggest hurdle. We need to infiltrate their live systems to link our evidence." That's when a spark of hope ignited in Alex's eyes. "I have access," she revealed, her voice tinged with a newfound resolve. "My father and his paranoia created master credentials for the family. They never expire. Yet the path was not so simple. We need more than access." Darius mused, his voice a thoughtful whisper. "We must coax Richard into a public blunder." For 2 relentless weeks, they toiled in their clandestine workshop. Darius, in a poignant act of sacrifice, sold his cherished luxury watch, the final relic of his once prosperous life, to fund their endeavor. Alex, with her intimate knowledge of the company, charted the entire corporate labyrinth. Maya, with meticulous care, drafted legal documents, while Zoe crafted an impregnable digital fortress to house their growing collection of evidence. Their first triumph came with the remote access of corporate emails unveiling tax fraud schemes. The second victory was identifying 3 judges compromised by illicit payments whose rulings had favored Winter's enterprise. That evening, in the quiet solitude of the kitchen, Alex found Darius, his silhouette illuminated by the glow of his screen. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice a soft inquiry into the night. "You could have handed me over, walked away unscathed." Darius paused, his meticulous examination of the documents for some matters transcended mere financial gain. Dignity, justice, the opportunity to demonstrate that the system could indeed serve all, not merely those privileged by birth like his father. Alex gave a slow, thoughtful nod in agreement. "You could have been among them," he said, his voice tinged with curiosity, rich, influential. "Never," Darius replied, his smile as sharp as a rice knife. "They would never welcome me into their sanctum, not with this skin." The following day, Richard Winters, with pomp and circumstance, held a press conference to unveil what would be recorded as the grandest acquisition in the company's annals, the acquisition of Garner Technologies, a fierce competitor. Unseen by the throng of eager journalists and flashing cameras, a black man in an unassuming suit observed from the shadows at the back. None could foresee that this event would mark the commencement of a powerful man's downfall. As the cameras captured Winter's every word, Darius quietly exited, his fingers flying over his phone's keyboard, sending a cryptic message, "Phase 1 complete. He has no idea what's coming." What Richard Winters could never have fathomed was that as he spoke of business integrity and corporate responsibility, a group of ordinary individuals were meticulously assembling the means to unveil his duplicity. The man he had dismissed as a failure had transformed his greatest vulnerability, being perpetually underestimated, into his mightiest weapon. And in a mere 72 hours, the world of the elite would be turned on its head. The Winter Enterprise Auditorium buzzed with anticipation for the announcement of the year's most significant corporate merger. Richard Winters, basking in the glow of the spotlights, smiled as slides showcased soaring graphs. "This acquisition," he declared with a flourish, "represents the future of our industry. Winters Enterprise has always been guided by ethics and innovation." It was at that very moment, as if by fate, that every cell phone in the room vibrated in unison, each bearing an anonymous link that promised to change everything. In the midst of the swirling storm of accusations, Richard Winters, the titan of industry, felt the icy grip of panic clutch at his heart. Continuing, he stammered, his voice faltering as he tried to regain control of the spiraling situation. But his words were cut short by a female reporter, her voice sharp and clear. Mr. Winters, could you comment on the documents suggesting your company deliberately sabotaged smaller competitors, including Tech Vision? The color fled from Richard's face as quickly as the warmth from a dying fire. In the shadowed back rows, Darius watched with a calm demeanor, Maya by his side, their eyes locked on the unfolding drama. Absurd, Richard managed, his voice a mere whisper now. These documents are clearly forgeries. What about the records of payments to judges? Another journalist pressed, her tone laced with skepticism. Or the emails detailing systematic tax evasion? As if on cue, the screens around the auditorium under Zoe's remote control flickered to life, displaying a cascade of emails, memos, and spreadsheets, each a damning piece of evidence pulled directly from the company's servers. "Where's Alexandra?" Richard's voice cracked as he turned to his security chief, his eyes wide with betrayal. "This is her doing, isn't it?" The screens then shifted, revealing a pre-recorded message from Alexandra Winters. "My name is Alexandra Winters." Her voice echoed through the room. "And I am presenting this evidence because I believe no company should be above the law. These documents prove years of predatory practices, systematic discrimination against Black and Latino entrepreneurs, tax evasion, and judicial corruption." Richard's frantic attempts to silence the monitors were futile. The truth had already been unleashed. At the auditorium's rear, federal agents entered with a quiet purpose, their movements orchestrated by Maya, ensuring the law's reach extended to even the most powerful. "This is a conspiracy," Richard's voice rose in desperation. "My own daughter manipulated by jealous competitors." Darius rose, his presence commanding. "No one manipulated your daughter, Richard. She made her own moral decision, something you clearly never did." Richard, recognizing the face of his once dismissed adversary, sneered. "You think this will bring your little company back?" "I'm not here for my company," Darius retorted, his voice steady. "I'm here for justice for all the entrepreneurs you systematically destroyed because they didn't fit your preferred profile." A ripple of murmurs spread through the auditorium as Winters Enterprises stock plummeted in real time on the screens. Richard, his voice a venomous whisper, leaned toward Darius. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." But the truth, once released, could not be reined back. The auditorium held its breath, the air thick with the weight of justice and the echoes of betrayal. "Enough," Maya interjected, her voice slicing through the air as she brandished her badge. Maya Rivera, special advisor to the Department of Justice. "All those so-called friends are already under scrutiny." Agents closed in their movements, swift and purposeful, armed with arrest warrants. "Richard Winters," declared the lead agent, his tone icy and formal, "you stand accused of tax fraud, active corruption, and antitrust violations. You are under arrest." As they escorted him away, Richard's eyes locked onto Darius, a venomous promise in his gaze. "You think you've won? This isn't over," he hissed. "It ended the moment you valued profit over decency." Darius retorted, his voice steady, a calm sea amidst the storm. The scandal, a wildfire of revelations, swept through the global press. The downfall of Winters' empire sent shockwaves through markets, igniting investigations across 3 continents. Unveiled documents exposed Richard's systematic sabotage of minority-founded companies. In a quiet cafe far from the media frenzy, Zoe, Maya, and Alex found Darius. "We did it." Alex exhaled, a mix of exhaustion and relief coloring his words. "Now what?" Zoe's voice was tinged with uncertainty. "What are your plans, Darius?" Darius's eyes shone with a newfound clarity. "To build technology that serves humanity, not just the elite," he replied, his resolve as firm as the ground beneath their feet. "Are you thinking of reviving Tech Vision?" Maya inquired, her interest piqued. "No," Darius answered. "Something entirely new. Something the old system would never have allowed for people like me." His phone buzzed with a notification from the Department of Justice detailing compensation for the wrong companies. Justice, it seemed, was finally stirring from its slumber. That night, as Richard Winters faced his first night behind bars, Darius and Alexandra stood on a rooftop, the city sprawling before them. "What do you feel?" she asked, her voice soft against the night's embrace. "Revenge." "No," Darius responded, gazing into the starlit sky. "I feel like there's finally a chance for me, for others like us." The city lights danced a silent symphony as an unlikely alliance was born. A daughter who turned away from her corrupt heritage and an entrepreneur who refused to surrender his dream. Who could have foreseen how this collapse would reshape the very fabric of our world? In the ever-evolving landscape of the corporate realm, the true metamorphosis was just beginning. 3 years had passed since the collapse of Winter's empire, a behemoth of industry brought low by its own misdeeds. High above the bustling city center on the sleek rooftop of a modern edifice, Darius Thomas stood, his silhouette framed by the fiery hues of the setting sun. Below him, the team at Horizon Technologies, his brainchild, was in full festive spirit, celebrating the anniversary of their inception. Horizon had risen phoenix-like from the smoldering ruins of Tech Vision. With the court settlement from his victory over Winter, Darius had crafted an incubator, a beacon of hope specifically for startups, spearheaded by entrepreneurs from marginalized communities. In a mere 3 years, he had not only launched 17 thriving companies, but had also become a catalyst for change, uplifting countless individuals who, much like himself, had been systematically sidelined by the tech industry's gatekeepers. "Mr. Thomas, your live interview starts in 5 minutes. His assistant's voice broke through the celebration's clamor, prompting Darius to straighten his tie and stride towards the makeshift studio set up for the occasion. The broadcast was for new leaders, a platform showcasing visionary entrepreneurs. "We're live with Darius Thomas, the founder of Horizon Technologies, recently crowned Entrepreneur of the Year," the host declared with enthusiasm. "Darius, your journey from the brink of bankruptcy to becoming a beacon of innovation in just 3 short years, how did you do it?" Darius offered a modest smile. "There is no secret formula," he explained, his voice carrying the weight of his conviction. "Just the understanding that the true success is not about personal victory, but about opening gates for others to thrive." Meanwhile, in a distant, minimum security prison, Richard Winters sat, his gaze fixed on a small, flickering community television. His once formidable demeanor now bore the heavy marks of defeat. His sentence of 7 years for corporate malfeasance was merely the opening act of his penance. His wealth had been stripped, his properties auctioned off, and his name had become synonymous with corruption and corporate bias. "Your lawyer is here, Winters," a guard announced, cutting through his brooding reflection. The world outside was changing, and while some doors closed, others were being forcefully opened, ushering in a new era of opportunity and justice. In a dimly lit room, a weary young lawyer stood clutching a worn briefcase. "Mr. Winters," he began, his voice heavy with the weight of his news, "I'm afraid the final appeal was denied. And there's more, the Winters Foundation for Corporate Equality has just announced its first round of grants." Richard's laughter, sharp and bitter, cut through the silence. "My own flesh and blood, squandering the last of my legacy on the likes of Thomas." "Actually," when the lawyer interjected, his tone gentle yet firm, "Miss Winters isn't just funding them. She's working directly with Mr. Thomas. She's the director now." Meanwhile, across the bustling city, Alex was concluding a meeting at the foundation's headquarters. After the storm of scandal had passed, she had chosen a path of atonement, channeling her privilege and the remnants of her family's fortune into reparative action. The foundation, under her guidance, sought out entrepreneurs from communities long overlooked, offering not just funds but mentorship and invaluable connections. "I never thought I'd find myself on this side of the table," Maya Rivera, now a partner at Horizon, mused as they walked toward a celebratory dinner. "Remember those days in the cabin plotting to dismantle your father's empire?" Alex's smile was wistful. "Do you ever wonder if I've truly atoned for the damage my family inflicted?" "There's no perfect reparation," Zoe Chun, who now led Horizon's digital security, responded thoughtfully. "But there's always the commitment to strive for better." At the restaurant, Darius stood, his glass aloft in a toast. Around him were not just his closest allies, but a new generation of entrepreneurs whose dreams he had helped to ignite. 3 years ago, we were mere pawns in a seemingly unbeatable system, he declared, his voice resonant with conviction. Today, we're not just playing the game. We're rewriting its very rules. And this, my friends, is only the beginning. Later, as the night deepened and the others departed, Darius and Alex lingered on the office balcony, the city's lights a sprawling tapestry below. Have you ever reflected on how it all began? Alex mused, her eyes reflecting the city's glow. With you hiding me in destiny. Darius murmured, his voice barely a whisper, yet laden with the weight of profound understanding. No choice, Alex countered gently, his eyes reflecting a depth of conviction. You chose to aid me when surrender would have been simpler. I chose to defy my father when silence could have shielded me. Our choices, Darius, they sculpt who we become, not our origins or the shadows of our past. Darius's nod was slow, thoughtful. He pondered how each decision, from the seemingly insignificant to the earth-shaking, had woven a new fabric for his life and those around him. With tech vision, he had not merely thought wealth or personal triumph, but aimed to dismantle and reconstruct the very sinews of power. The true vengeance against Richard Winters wasn't in his dramatic fall, but in the silent uprising that followed. No longer did individuals like Darius need to plead for a place at the table. They crafted their own welcoming, all to partake in equality and innovation. Herein lies the essence of our tale. Justice is not merely the toppling of the mighty, but the meticulous creation of fairer systems from the ashes of the old. It's about transforming anguish into ambition, rejection into rebellion. And often the spark for such profound change ignites in the most unforeseen places, like the alliance between a bankrupt Black entrepreneur and a millionaire heiress on the run. If this saga of justice and transformation has stirred something within you, please do not hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts in the comments below, like, share, and let's continue this journey together. Remember, no matter where we begin, it is our choices that dictate our destiny. And the most profound victory is not in vanquishing our foes, but in crafting a world where their tools of exclusion and prejudice are rendered useless. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey.